Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another 1/12 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we're not just taking a look at one figure, we're actually reviewing two. Both of these figures were based off their appearance in The Crimes of Grindelwald, the second Fantastic Beasts film. We're taking a look at Newt as well as Albus Dumbledore, aka Jude Law in a three-piece suit. But nevertheless, I liked the Reverse Flash, so hopefully these guys are equally as good as him. If you are looking to pick up either of these two figures, I do believe they are still in stock with toyswonderland.com. Link for that is of course down in the description below, and they do have 12-month installment plans if you're a fan of paying off your figures over time. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here of course we have the box art for Dumbledore. We will be doing them one at a time just to give each figure the correct unboxing treatment. We do have an image of Jude Law as Dumbledore on the front of the box. I'm curious, Harry Potter fans out there, how did he go from looking like this, well-dressed, very suave in a three-piece suit, to looking like a million years old sitting in his bathrobes in the Harry Potter films? Let me know down in the comments below. You can see he comes with a bunch of stuff, and I do like that they call out pretty much every single item and tell you exactly what it is. You do also have a couple of product shots and a little bit of a sneak preview of Newt there. Now, as I said in the intro, I was pretty darn impressed with the Reverse Flash, so fingers crossed these Fantastic Beasts figures are equally as impressive. It's actually encouraged me to pick up a lot more soap stuff. You will be seeing a review of their 1/12 scale tumbler very soon on the channel. And here we have him. First in-hand impressions are, yeah, he feels very similar to the Reverse Flash. He's got the same sort of heft and weight in hand. He's not overly heavy by any means, but you can definitely tell there is a quality to him. Now, as you can see, he does come with a few bits and pieces, which we'll be taking a look at in just a second. Bringing in the box for Newt. As you can see, we do have an image of Newt on the front. Not my favorite character in the films, granted, and I know he's kind of the main protagonist of the franchise, but still, didn't really connect with his character. You can see he also comes with a bunch of stuff. Let's get him out here. I'm curious to see if they've used a different scale or size of body between these two figures. Not necessarily required, mind you, but it'll just be curious to see. And of course, here we have Newt. Very, very nicely tailored suit right off the bat here. And as you can see, he also comes with a bunch of bits and pieces. So what we are going to do now is get all of the accessories that come with Newt and also Dumbledore laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything they come with. And here we have everything that comes with both Dumbledore on the left and Newt on the right. Let's take a look at the display bases first. They are identical between one another, and as you can see, Dumbledore printed on the front here, whereas Newt printed on the other one. Crimes of Grindelwald on top, and yes, they both have the exact same waist grabber as we saw recently with the Reverse Flash figure. Now, Dumbledore actually does come with an interchangeable coat. This is, of course, a suit jacket. If you didn't want to go with the longer outer coat that he comes wearing, you can swap it out for this. It's the same color as his suit pants, so it's a nice color match, but it kind of gives me safari vibes. I think it's the 4 pockets on the front here. Not exactly what I'm going to be going with in my display, but it still looks and feels like a really high quality coat. You do also get a mini 1/12 scale fedora. It is done in plastic but has a flocked material on the outside, so it kind of gives you the appearance of a fabric hat, but it maintains the structure of the design, because if it actually was fabric, kind of wouldn't work in 1/12 scale. Now you do get a couple of different options for Dumbledore's hands. You get some black gloved hands with some really nice sculpted detail on there, and some regular skin tone hands. I like the skin tone hands because they've used that same sort of plastic that Bandai are using in the figure arts line, just to give you a subtle bit of translucency there to make it look even more realistic. Now you do get a couple of teeny tiny little accessories, this of course being the blood pact that Dumbledore has with Grindelwald, and of course Dumbledore's wand. Really nicely detailed, especially for such a tiny piece. You also get this, which is of course the business card. It is a sculpted plastic piece, and the detail is pretty darn fantastic. And lastly, for Dumbledore at least, you get a bunch of these really tiny baby nifflers. They are super cute, and yes, you get the full array of all of the various colours, but I can't overstate how tiny they are. Now, the reason I think they gave these to Dumbledore is because most people will be picking him up alongside Newt here. You can, of course, pop them in Newt's suitcase. The suitcase itself is really nicely sculpted. You can see this sort of water-damaged leather look about it, but it is all a sculpted plastic piece, has weathering and some gold edges. You can of course open it up and it has all of the detail on the inside, but unfortunately there's no like lenticular sticker or anything like that, like what Hot Toys did. It's still a really nice little case here, and yes, you can pop all of the Fantastic Beasts on the inside. Now, to go along with the mini nifflers, you also get a full-size niffler. This little guy is really nicely painted and sculpted, and of course you can pop him in the suitcase. The only other little beast you get is, of course, Pickett. He doesn't unfortunately have a face, but he is at least a little green dude. He's got a base, so of course he again can stand up inside the suitcase as I accidentally go closing it on them. But as you can see, starting to get a little collection of Fantastic Beasts in 1/12 scale. Now you do also get two versions of Newt's wand here. One with the hearing apparatus on the end, and one that is just the wand. Not exactly sure if this was 100% necessary, but it's still a really nice little piece. I'm really liking these wands, but they are very, very thin and very fragile, so please be careful. Now, as for Newt's hands, he comes with a fairly wide array, and they're all done in skin tone with that really nice translucent style plastic, just to give it a little bit more oomph in the display. What we are going to do now, though, is get Newt himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And yeah, so far I'm really liking this figure. They've done the basics very well. Their choice of body, which I'm pretty sure is their own body that they've custom designed in-house, it's really good. It's proportionate, the articulation is great, and it fits the suit very nicely. Granted, he is looking a little bit more bulky here, and we'll touch on that more in just a second, but overall I'm still relatively impressed. The head sculpt, though, in my opinion, is the pièce de résistance with this piece. It is a really nice sculpt, and don't worry, what we are going to do now is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal. And yeah, so far I've been really impressed with these 1/12 scale figures. Taking a look at the head sculpt, I can see Eddie Redmayne in that sculpt. It is rather small, so it's hard to get the details in there, but I think they nailed it, especially from angles, like right there. I can see that 100%. I love the hair, how it comes across the front, and it is painted and sculpted very, very nicely. Overall, I'm really impressed with the likeness. Now, as for the outfit, he does have multiple layers. He's got this outer trench coat style piece, then you do have a really nicely done 3-piece suit. Yes, he can come across a little bit bulky, but he is wearing a bunch of layers, real fabric, and at this scale, it's hard to capture that without making it look a little bit big. You can, of course, remove some of these layers if you want to slim him up just a little bit. Now let's talk about the outer jacket first. It has a very similar style material to the DX11 coat. It feels a little bit bathroby, but honestly, it works for the scale. Also, there is a wire along the bottom here. I don't know if there's a wire along the edge, because it doesn't really hold a pose, but there is 100% a wire along the bottom, so yes, you can get it looking a little bit more dynamic. Now as for the suit itself, you do have a regular suit jacket, which is done in a thin enough material that it does suit the scale, but still feels high quality. That of course matches quite nicely with the pants, and underneath that you have a vest. I do like this little string that comes along into the pocket, and I love the fact that the buttons aren't actually buttons, they're little decals that have been applied to the vest, to the jacket, and to the trench coat. Lastly, you do of course have a white shirt and a little faux bow tie up the top. For the shoes, these are actually really well done for such a small scale. They are little ankle-high boots, and you do have a little bit of weathering up the front here. They're also painted and sculpted really well, plus you do have all of the printing for the legal information down below, so it's not anywhere else on the figure. Overall, I'm really impressed with Newt here. It's a really well done piece, especially considering how small he is and how well they've done all of the fabric. And here we have Dumbledore standing straight up and down in the lightbox. I'm pretty impressed with this guy as well. I really like how they did the Newt figure, but they've transferred all of the learnings it seems that they've had with the previous figures. They had a couple of stumbles here and there with their earlier releases, but they've definitely made drastic improvements. Number one, the paint applications on the sculpts. I really liked Newt, and I like Dumbledore as well. Maybe not quite as much though as Newt, more on that in just a second. The outfit though I think fits a little bit better. That's because he's not wearing his suit jacket currently underneath his trench coat, so it sits a little bit nicer. It still, however, is a 1/12 scale figure, and the cloth isn't actually a 1/12 scale piece of cloth, so it's not going to sit and conform to the body like it would on a real human or even on a bigger scale figure like 1/6 or quarter scale. It still looks really good, but you do get some of the drawbacks of having a smaller scaled piece. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal. And yeah, this is Dumbledore. He looks really darn good. I have taken the liberty of applying the hat, but I don't really like the way it looks on the figure. I think it's a little bit too thick, especially the brim, and a little bit too wide. That's of course just due to the nature of this being an actual plastic head. You can't really get a hat to fit on there like it would on a real person. But the head sculpt itself is rather impressive. From angles like right there and also right there, I can 100% see Jude Law. Is it stronger than the likeness on Newt? No, I don't personally think it is. I think the murkiness of the sculpt and paint applications in the beard kind of lets the sculpt down, but overall I can still tell who this is supposed to be, and for 1/12 scale, it's still pretty darn impressive. I wish honestly that Hot Toys had given us a Dumbledore in 1/6 scale, but for now this is going to serve me very well in my Fantastic Beasts collection. Now as for the outfit, it's relatively simple. There's an outer trench coat with a wire along the bottom, but not along the front, just like Newt. You also do have a bunch of texture in the material here, just to give it a little bit more life, and I really like the way it looks. You don't have any of those straps or anything like that around the back like Newt had. For the outfit on the inside, you do have the vest with that same technique used for the buttons, a white business shirt, and of course a tie. The pants are relatively simple. You do have the cuff down the bottom, sort of a rolled up edge, and also down here at the shoes, you do have some really nicely detailed brogues. I love the sculpt and the paint applications, while relatively simple compared to Newt with the dirtiness and the weathering. It still looks really good, and unfortunately no tread on the bottom, but the legal information once again. Overall, yeah, I really like Dumbledore. Is he my favourite between the two figures so far? No, I think Newt still might potentially be my favourite. Even though I prefer Jude Law's Dumbledore as a character, I think the figure of Newt might be stronger. Now just quickly before we move on, I just wanted to make mention of these backdrop pieces that Soap have included. They're kind of just the box inserts, but as you can see, it's Paris, and I guess this is some sort of magical Patronus or something like that. It's a nice blue backdrop. This one comes with Newt, and to go along with Dumbledore, you get this one, which kind of looks like a bunch of Madman's scratches all in the background here. I don't think I'll be using these in the display, but at the very least, they are cardboard backdrop pieces. They are taller than the figures, so yes, you can have the figures displayed in front of them, and it creates a little bit of a scene. Not exactly sure what kind of a scene this one is going to be, maybe I'm just misremembering from the film, but I guess it does work. Overall though, I do like Newt's one just a little bit better. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Newt and Dumbledore standing alongside the Mezco Bevius Batman. I know, a weird comparison to do, but I did have him out here because I just recently filmed the Reverse Flash video. I think this scale works. Batman is a big dude, hence he's a little bit taller. But it just goes to show how well these guys go alongside your Mezco releases. Granted, there aren't any Mezco Harry Potter figures, but if they ever did decide to do them, I think this would scale and work quite well. If you did want to do some kind of Warner Brothers mashup and have them alongside your DC characters, then you can go for it, because I think the scale does work. But I have to say, I'm quite impressed so far at least with the quality parity between Mezco and Soap Studios. I reckon they are both as good as one another, if not potentially Soap Studios being a little bit better in the paint applications and likeness department. Yeah, I said it. That's how impressed I am with these pieces. Just going over articulation on Dumbledore. Now this will serve for both figures because they are both on the exact same body. That means the articulation scheme will be pretty much identical. They are wearing very similar outfits, so do bear that in mind. Also, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it's on a separate neck piece, so you do get a range of motion at the head itself, but also at the neck, and then when you can combine it, gets a fairly decent range pretty much in all directions. The arms themselves go out to about there, they'll go forward to about there, and there is a butterfly joint at the shoulder. You do have a swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow, and a regular 1/12 scale style joint for the wrist. As for the torso, forward, back, swivel, and pivot side to side. The legs go forward to about there, they go out to about there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee, and of course a ball joint down here at the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Soap Studios Crimes of Grindelwald, Dumbledore and Newt. Now let's talk about Dumbledore first. Going into this, I was really excited for him, and he's still a really good figure. But I think Newt is just a little bit better, for one key reason, the head sculpt. I think they nailed the likeness on Newt, but the facial hair sculpt and paint applications kind of let Dumbledore down here. It's still great, don't get me wrong, but Newt's just a little bit better. I like the outfit with Dumbledore, I like the accessories, and I like the choice of body. It all fits together very, very nicely, and I still love the figure. But yeah, Newt is now my personal favourite between these two figures. Now, speaking of Newt, he's a really great release. The head sculpt is very, very strong. I can see the likeness from pretty much every angle. And the outfit is fantastic as well. And it uses the exact same body as Dumbledore here, so it makes sense. It's a really well-articulated little piece here. I'm really impressed with Soap Studios. They've done great work with the Fantastic Beasts license. I also really like the Reverse Flash that I picked up recently. I can't wait to see what they have coming out next. I definitely will be keeping a keen eye on Soap Studios, and don't worry, there will be more 1/12 scale soap stuff coming soon to the channel, aka the Tumblr and Batman Begins, so definitely stay tuned. Now if you are looking to pick up Dumbledore or Newt, they are in stock right now with Toys Wonderland. A link for that is of course down in the description below. Also while you are down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.